Welcome back, everyone. Phoenix 3 here, and I wanted to make a more in-depth video about some of my new feelings and stuff for this game. As you all know, Charizard and Weavile were announced, and that brought some concern, mostly concern that I had for the game. It's nothing about like the Pokemon being represented in the game. This is more of the Pokemon types, I guess is the right way to say that. In terms of body types. Like, I feel Suicune was put in the game just as Namco's Bandai way of dispelling the rumor that the game was only going to be either exclusively fighting types or human shaped. And Suicune certainly did that. But with the more and more character reveals we're getting, we are getting more human shaped Pokemon. And I do find that a little bit worrisome considering there are more a lot more Pokemon I feel could be better suited in these roles. It's going to be a void since a lot of Pokemon do stand on two legs and have arms for the most part. But I was hoping we could see something a little more exotic in terms of character types and fighting styles. So far, we have Machamp, Lucario, Gardevoir, Pikachu, Gengar, Charizard, and Weavile. Pretty much all act as humanoids in this game in terms of their playability. Uh, Pikachu moves around in a feral type way, but Pikachu is fighting on two legs using his arms and tail, while Suicune is pretty much the only character in the game that's exclusively on all fours at any given point in the game. We still haven't seen any flying types put into the game yet. I'm looking for at least something that represents bird Pokemon since they are my favorites in the game, and we still haven't seen a solid bird yet. We also haven't seen a solid dragon type represented in the game either. I'm not counting Charizard X since it is still Charizard, but just from a roster perspective, we don't see any dragon types. Flygon would be a really good dragon type to have in the game since it has quite a large following. Salamence would also be a nice one to have since it flies around, but it would also be another Pokemon that moves around on all four, which would be a nice complement to Suicune. And I really don't see a way to get fish in this game that aren't in a support role. So they just kind of drew the short end of the stick here. Unfortunately, a lot of Pokemon just don't have the capabilities to be in a fighting game, and those that do are in short numbers. It's easy to put a humanoid Pokemon in the game because they're generally easier to work with because we already have the standards for fighting games pretty much set. But what I would like to see are more Pokemon walking around on all fours like Suicune. And Suicune's the only one that does it. And I find that worrisome. Like, I already pretty much accepted the fact that Vaporeon isn't going to be playable in the game. But that doesn't mean we can't see something like Flareon. We can't see something like Sylveon. Or even some of the bigger ones. My Little Pony is extremely popular worldwide. So for them to exclude a Pokemon like Keldeo or even the other Sacred Swords, Secret Swords? I don't know what they call themselves, but they call themselves the Swords, the Musketeers. That's what I'm gonna call them, the Musketeers. For them to exclude them would be kind of bad in that aspect, since My Little Pony is extremely popular here in the West. I think it's popular in Japan too. It's pretty much popular all over. So I want to see more four-legged Pokemon be represented in the game instead of just all of the ones that we have that move around on two. Since they've shown that they can do it, I want to see a balance of the Pokemon types. I still want to see a bird. I'm a little disappointed that we haven't had one revealed yet. I am still looking, so I'm having hope that since they're going to show off the completed arcade version of the game on the 16th, I believe, Thursday or Friday, they're going to show off uh, the completed roster. You know, there are still probably Pokemon we haven't seen yet. They may just be showing us what they want us to see. I mean, I guess there's rumor based on the stream that Articuno could be in the game. That'd be really good since there aren't any ice flying types at all. I don't think. I think Articuno might be the only one. Ice flying. I don't know. Are there any more ice flying types? I think Articuno might be the only one. I know when they put Emoga in the game, they added another electric flying type. And I mean, there have been fire flying types forever. But Talonflame's the most recent, but I don't think any of them are going to be in because of Charizard. So I mean, like, if Articuno is in the game, I'll main Articuno. That'd be cool. But I want to see birds in the game. I want to see more fighting styles. Like, I want to see Pokemon that fight on the ground. I want to see Pokemon that fight in the air. I want to see Pokemon that fight in the ground. Like something like Excadrill might be cool. Something like Dugtrio would be awesome. Sand Slash would be really cool. You fight in the ground, come up whenever you want to. Well, I mean, not come up whenever you want to, but a lot of its special attacks are going to involve digging, earthquakes, and stuff like that. And then we can see these possible type dynamic matchups playing a role in the game because obviously something like Sandslash will have a problem fighting against something like Pidgeot just because it doesn't have to touch the ground. So it'll be good against Pokemon like Charizard, Pikachu, Suicune, the ones that are always on the ground because it can do what it wants. But Pokemon that fight preliminary in the air, I know I butchered that word. Sorry about that. But Pokemon that fight in the air would have an advantage. So we can see type advantages being a thing here. Like the reason that I really don't care for Circle Fighters all that much is because there's hardly any dynamics between any character in the game. Every character is on the exact same physics engine. Every character has the exact same attacks. Every character is the same minus their special attacks. It's kind of the reason why I haven't gotten into the Naruto Storm series. Though my brother's really big on it, but it's because he's a bigger Naruto fan than I am. But the reason I just don't play it is because I just don't get any value out of the game as being a fighting game. Every character has the exact same speed. Every character has the exact same everything, and that's just not fun to me. So I don't want to see this game be the same way. Like it'd be nice if we had that dynamic where we had ground, air, in the ground. It'd be nice for me to say sea, but I don't think any water types like Seaking or Gyarados are actually going to be playable. They might be in the game through support. And I knew once I saw the support engine, that was pretty much going to be the nail in the coffin for a lot of other Pokemon that could possibly be in the game. And that's just unfortunate since when Pokemon came out at the time, nobody expected to do this well. Hell, even the Pokemon company didn't expect Pokemon to be around this long, but here we are, you know, what is it? Not almost 20 years later, but we are pretty down there, and Pokemon is stronger than it's ever been. And when we had that first announcement of a Pokemon Stadium game, we was like, oh, this is going to be a Pokemon fighting game. So, just kind of glad to see this happening now. Another thing that I did wanted to talk about was the roster size. It was rumored that I don't know if Harada said it, but somebody said that they wanted the roster to be about the same size as Tekken 7. At the time I found this out, the Tekken 7 roster was about 20 characters, and now the Tekken 7 roster is about 26 characters. I predict, since they are still adding characters to the game, the Tekken 7 roster will be around 28, maybe 34 characters. So if we get 20 Pokemon in a game, that'd be great. I mean, that's severely smaller than the number I thought was going to be in a game. I was expecting at least 60. If we get 26, 28, 30, I mean, I feel 30 is a good number for a game like this, considering the sheer amount of Pokemon to choose from. I would still be satisfied. But did they really need to up their game in terms of a lot of Pokemon that's playable? Like I said in my other video, we can potentially have 5 character slots in this game dedicated to Pokemon that are already in Super Smash Bros. 4. And I think that's bad. Even though this here is a dedicated Pokemon game, and every Pokemon should have a fair representation in this game as a Pokemon standalone. But I think it's kind of bad right now that the Pokemon that we have seen, 3 of the 8 Pokemon that we have got are already in Smash, and the 2 Pokemon that nobody expected to be in the game at all, being Pikachu and Weavile. I guess you can say Suicune. Nobody really expected that, but the 2 Pokemon that we do have in the game for sure being Pikachu and Weavile, nobody really expected for sure, and they're making their way into it. But we have been shown 8 characters right now, and 3 of them are already in Smash. They could potentially add Mewtwo and Greninja, making that 5, which is a bad thing. Because I, like every other Pokemon fan out there, that we want to see some other Pokemon being represented in this game. Not exactly the super popular ones, but some of the other well-known and popular Pokemon. Like it'll be nice not to see Sylveon representing the Fairy type, but since Sylveon was pretty much the first Fairy type revealed, we we kind of expected to represent the Fairy type in this game, and I just want to see some other Pokemon being represented. Another thing that I do want is I want to see more Pokemon body types. Like I said earlier, I want to see birds in this game. I don't want to see one. I don't want to see two. I want to see like maybe 5 or 6 of them. Same thing with Pokemon like Suicune. I don't want Suicune to be the only one. I want to see like 5 or 6 Pokemon like it. So I want to see the roster get balanced. Like if we're going to have 30 playable Pokemon, I'm just using that as an example. It'll be nice to see 10 humanoids. It'll be nice to see 10 birds. It'll be nice to see um, 10 quadrupeds just for the purpose of the game. It's like, as I'm saying, it's like, this here is a Pokemon game. It's not, you know, Pokemon version of just Tekken where only the human-like Pokemon are fighting. They're basically saying, this here is Pokemon. We're going to treat this like Pokemon where people can use any Pokemon and do well with them. That's kind of the way I want to see this treated. And so far, with all the reveals that we're getting, every single Pokemon is a humanoid for the most part. So I find that a little bit worrying in terms of at least my wish of having Pidgeot or any other bird Pokemon in this game. I have a feeling Articuno is going to be in it, and that'd be cool. But I feel when it comes to the legendary birds, Zapdos is the most popular. Um, Articuno following behind is a second, and Moltres third. Like like Zapdos has always had a role in something like this. Zapdos is always decently fast and powerful. Articuno could just take hits, and Moltres, in my opinion, just has an identity crisis. It doesn't know what it wants to do. Like its attack stat is better than its special attack, I think, and you'll just never know that. Its speed is like what, base 90, I think, in the game. Like Moltres doesn't know what it wants to do. So I think Moltres' fan base is kind of suffering because of that. But I love Moltres, anyway. Given the choice to represent my team, I'd have a Moltres over a Talonflame any day, just because I have more love for Moltres than I do Talonflame. And seeing Charizard in the game is kind of ruining any shot Moltres has to get out of the dark and maybe get into the shadow of a spotlight. But I just think Moltres is done in that aspect. Articuno would be cool. If I had to pick what bird Pokemon I wanted in this game, I would say, given my type chart that I said already, I would want Pidgeot, I would want Zapdos, I would want Articuno. Can't have Moltres because of Charizard. Maybe add in Swanna. Since we actually do see its model in the game, it could possibly be a Pokemon that gets in. I mean, those would definitely be some of my top choices. If we had to completely disregard, the fact that Charizard's in it, I say add Moltres and Talonflame to the game. Don't go from there. And why even stop there? Have Staraptor, have Braviary. I mean, these Pokemon have decent fan followings as well. So I do want to see more variety in body types that we have so far. Like we've got Weavile as a fast attacker, we got Pikachu as a fast attacker. Machamp is kind of tanky, slow, and wants to get in on you. Suicune is a zoner. Um, Gardevoir is a zoner. Lucario wants to get in your face, but I mean all the Pokemon can zone decently well. So I think it'll be nice to have Pokemon that can fly around, get their attacks in, Pokemon that can dig under the ground, like Excadrill, Sandslash, get those Pokemon in there. Because, I mean, there's really no reason any of this can't happen. I mean, there may be some problems with some of the stages, for example. Like, we got some of the middle ones, the underwater dome. That might be a problem in terms of digging. But, I mean, if location really isn't going to play a role in anything that happens in this game, then sure, have digging being a thing in a game that some Pokemon can do. I mean, even all the evolutions can learn dig, so but there's no reason this here really can't be a thing. I would actually like to see Entei be put in the game to represent the fire types if they don't want to have something like Flareon or just the pure fire types. Maybe we can get some more dark Pokemon. Maybe get Darkrai in here. I mean, no, there's a lot that this game can go through, and I'm just really hoping that the rest of the Pokemon on the roster aren't just humanoids slash more fighting types, because that'll be boring. Because my purpose for playing Pokemon right now is to be able to use my favorite Pokemon in a game, and if none of my favorite Pokemon aren't in the game, I simply just won't buy that game, and I won't have any problem with that. I really would hate to see that happen with this game because I really want to play this, and I feel if Articuno is in the game, it won't be enough for me because it's not on my top three Pokemon that I would want to that that would make me go out and have to buy a game. And I feel a lot of other Pokemon players are in the same boat as well. Like if they don't get their Pokemon in this game, they might not have that emotional attachment to it, and they won't get it. Like I know I've been seeing a lot of posts where people saying it's like, well, if Magikarp isn't playable, then I'm not going to buy the game. It's like, well, Magikarp is a joke Pokemon, and that's what the Pokemon community turned it into. We've never once seen a Magikarp launch a Hyper Beam that destroyed a planet. Like, that's never happened in anything related to Pokemon. It's not in Magikarp's lore or anything. Magikarp's purpose is to evolve into Gyarados, where it's going to wreck your face. Magikarp simply isn't doing any of that. So, I mean, don't expect to see a Magikarp in this game doing psychics and Draco meteors and stuff like it's not going to happen. And they're not going to put it in the game because that's not what Magikarp does. But when I hear a post of somebody saying it's like, well, If, for example, Meganium doesn't get put in the game, then I'm not going to buy the game. And that's kind of the issue that making a game like this has going against it, is that if you're not going to have like a 300 character roster, and I feel 300 fairly represents a large amount of the Pokemon fandom, then there's really no point in even making the game. This game here is a lot prettier than I thought a fighting game could possibly be for Pokemon, and a lot of development values and stuff are going into this game, and it looks really impressive. So that's why I would settle for a 30 character roster. But I really want to see the roster a little bit fairly represented in terms of possible Pokemon. Like, I want to see humanoids, I want to see birds, I want to see pharaohs, I want to see dragons. I want to see all of these things play a role. Like, I simply just don't want it to be, pick that popular Pokemon and put it in the game. Like, I still want to see Zangoose playable. That'll definitely be a reason to buy the game. I want to see. I mean, what dragon Pokemon do I want? Like Flygon would be nice, Salamence would be nice. I mean, just put any dragon in the game. I mean, shoot, this would even be a chance to give Flygon its Mega and have its first appearance be in Pokken Tournament, so people can like be like, oh, they finally gave it its Mega. Like, that'd be cool to see something like that. It'd be cool to have a couple more Ghost Pokemon in the game. Like, I know I don't talk about my favorite Pokemon types, because every time you hear me talk about Pokemon, I'm always talking about Pidgeot and Vaporeon. Like, those are my two absolute favorites. But I do have favorites for every other type. And my favorite ghost type Pokemon is probably Chandelure. I mean, that's just the best design I think I've ever seen. I think a close second is Aegislash. But Chandelure was just it was just cool to look at, and I think it'll be really cool to see a Pokemon like Chandelure be put in the game. Chandelure isn't anything. It's not a bird. It's not human. It's not a dragon. It's a chandelier. It's an inanimate object that just looks cool. So maybe we can see some more inanimate objects as Pokemon being put in the game. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head that might be interesting to look at. Like, Voltorb might not be interesting to look at. I mean, Magnemite is flying around with a camera, so I mean he's there, but nobody really wants to play as him. Um, Maybe get some of the Reggies in here. I think the best candidate for a fighter would probably either be Reggie Steel or Reggie Ice, or no, Reggie Steel or Reggie Rock. I really can't see Reggie Ice or anything, but seeing like Reggie Ice like slide or skate across the ground, that'd be pretty cool to see. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities here for Pokemon that to represent the inanimate types of Pokemon. I can't. I really can't think of anything else that might be cool to see playable though. I mean, we all have, that wish that we want, where this one Pokemon is playable and whatnot. But I do want to see some more balance come between some of the character types. Like I said before, 7 of the 8 Pokemon in the game are pretty much humanoids, with Suicune being the only true Pokemon on all fours at any given point in time. So I want to see that balance. I was actually hoping that in the character reveals that we did get, we would see a little bit more. But no, everything is standing on 2 legs and just beating each other down. Like, but still, I got to give a mad shout out to Weavile here though. Like, I think Weavile was a perfect choice for this type of games. And those claws, I think his special attack is like Shadow Claw. That's what it looks like, or it might be Night Slash. You know, Weebot will be pretty interesting to play, but I'm still trying to get over the fact that Articuno might be in the game though. I'm like that'd be cool. Like it wouldn't be my first choice of a bird Pokemon to put in, but it's not a bad choice at all. No, it's just funny because I just have this image in my head of Articuno getting manhandled by Charizard. And if you guys didn't actually watch that episode of Pokemon, there was an episode where Ash fought one of the Frontier Brains that had a Articuno, and Ash fought that Articuno with his Charizard. So that could be a possibility as well. But I do want to see this roster cater heavily towards Gen 1 and Gen 2, so we might be seeing a lot of that stuff because it came out in an interview again, and it was said that this Pokemon game was made for adults. It was made to cater to um, the Pokemon fans that grew up with Red and Blue, who are in their late 20s and like early 30s. You know, pretty much still college bound and stuff like that. So I won't be surprised if we don't get too many Pokemon from other generations, but we will definitely be seeing heavy Gen 1 and a heavy Gen 2 presence in this game, which I have no problem with. I personally think those were the best two generations in the game in terms of just being, what it was. Gen 3 definitely adding the most mechanics to the game, but Gen 1, Gen 2 are easily by far the most iconic generations. I mean, if you look at it, Pikachu is still the mascot. Um, Charizard is, well, Charizard's Charizard. We have Pokemon like Lugia and Ho-Oh who are extremely popular. The legendary birds are extremely popular. As a matter of fact, I think they're the most popular trio out of all of the legendaries. And I feel Pidgeot is probably the most popular starting bird Pokemon in the game. I mean, people only use Talonflame because of Gale Wings, but I mean, there really isn't a specific reason why people prefer Pidgeot over like any other bird Pokemon, for example. They just like it. Um, and I don't know. I just feel Gen 1, Gen 2 had the most Pokemon that you just like kind of remember. And also the other day, I just learned what a mythical Pokemon was. Like the legendaries like Mew, Jirachi, Celebi, and stuff. Apparently, they're classified as mystical Pokemon. Mythical Pokemon. I didn't even know that. I just called everything a legendary. So like the legendary birds would just be the legendaries, and Mew would be a mythical. So yeah, I learned something. I don't think it really makes a difference, but apparently it does. I guess I don't know. Um, Anything else that I wanted to talk about here? I mean, I guess this is more cosmetic, but I want to see a stadium or an arena in this game based on based on flying. Like you're up in the clouds or something, like in a high mountaintop with clouds that has like an overview of the entire area or the island if this place is on an island where you just kind of see everything and you're just fighting at like a high altitude. I think that'd be pretty cool to see some stuff like that. Like there's a lot of stuff I want to see in this game, and I just really hope they do it right. I just really hope they do. Like a concept like this is really easy to mess up if you go about it the wrong way, especially if the roster comes off as being too human-like. Then it just kills it for a lot of people because, like me, a lot of people have a lot riding on this game. We all want to see what the final roster is going to be like. There's like over 710 Pokemon, and the possibility that only maybe 20 to 30 are going to be in this game it's going to kill it for somebody. And I feel that if we can just get a fair representation of Pokemon in it, then it'd be good. Like of course, when the game comes to console, there can be more characters in the game. Like they might release it to everybody in arcades first with 20 characters, but when the game comes to Wii U or PlayStation 4, Xbox One, wherever it goes, it might have like 40, 50 characters in it. And then the arcade very variants of it will just update accordingly and have those characters put into it as well. Since they said they can keep these games updated through the local internet, so they can always add updates and stuff to the arcades, which is something that you really don't see that often. But it's pretty cool that they can do that. And I guess I can just say it's like don't worry. This game is going to come to North America. It is going to come to Australia. It is going to go to all these other countries in the world. It just releases in arcades first. That's kind of the testing grounds. Here in the West, when we release our games, we just release a demo on whatever app store that we're going to, and we just let people play it that way. But this here is kind of how Japan tests their fighting games. They release them all in arcades first, because if it succeeds in the arcade, then it's pretty much a successful run. That's kind of like their review process. They put it in the hands of the players first. They see what they say first. They make adjustments and stuff before they balance for console release, and then they just go from there. So, I mean, don't have any worry. We will be seeing this game come here to America. I don't know that for sure, but I mean, the most exclusive Pokemon game that I think I've ever seen was the Poke Park Pikachu's Adventure. And Poke Park is only an event that runs in Japan. It's never been here. And they made that game for the Wii, and it released here as well, just because it was a Pokemon game. They're not going to lose that source of revenue. So I mean, there's especially for a game like this that had all the demand in the world. Like there probably wasn't one person that didn't want this game. So there's no way they're going to keep this away from everybody else and just. I mean, it's just a bad business move. And I'm pretty sure a Pokemon company wouldn't be on board if they couldn't sell this game here in America. On top of that, they advertised the game on the American YouTube Pokemon page. So this game is coming to America. It's coming to your country. You don't have to worry about it. Um, some countries might be questionable if they will be getting this game, but you'll probably still end up seeing it. And I don't think there was anything else off the top of my head I wanted to talk about. I mean, I could just continue to gawk over Charizard's like his annihilation throw. I mean, that was pretty cool. Like every time I just continue to see the game, I'm seeing all of the Tekken influence here. And I guess another thing that I wanted to say is that like it'd be nice to see some Tekken characters in this game, but just kind of be in the background. Like you see Jin just chilling on the bench with like a Pokemon or whatever, just watching the fight. Which leads to my next question, I guess. It's like, well, what Pokemon would you want to see in Tekken, for example? Like, I think it'd be really cool to see Glade in Tekken. Like, that would just be sick. Glade would have a full 110 move set. That would just, oh my goodness, could you just imagine that? Glade having high, mid, low combos in a real fighting system, side steps, and just that would just be so nice to see. Like I would love to see just a handful of Pokemon in Tekken. Now I wouldn't obviously. I mean, I would want to see a bird Pokemon in Tekken though. But I mean, for the purpose of this, I would just say, man, just grab humanoid Pokemon and have them in Tekken. Like, could you imagine what Sock would be like in Tekken? That'd be so legit because he could be like another Taekwondo user. I think he does like karate and stuff like that, and throws like judo, I believe. But it'll be cool to see some like really nice fighting Pokemon in Tekken with just the HD graphics. Could you imagine the way he would look too? That just would be so cool. Like even just as a DLC, just like have one Pokemon character, just pick one fighting type from the Pokemon series, put it in Tekken, and just see how the community takes to it. Because I personally want to see Pokemon on Tekken's fighting engine. I think that'd be really cool because it'd make the game really technical, and that's kind of what I want to do. I like playing super technical characters, even though I'm like not any good with them. But it'll be nice to have technical characters in a fighting game and just learn how to use them. But I think that's pretty much all that I had to say about that. It's like, um, leave your comments below on what you think the remaining roster might be. I say for the purpose of this, have 30-ish Pokemon, maybe 32. I say at most 30, but if you have 32, then leave them in there. We already know what 8 of them are. Just leave what you think the remaining might be in the comments below. Um, no specific rule or anything, just whatever you think is going to be the one going to be on the remaining roster. And as for the other question, what fighting type Pokemon, just what Pokemon period, humanoids for this purpose, do you want to see you would like to see in Tekken 7? I would like to see Gallade or Sock in Tekken 7 for sure. Just leave yours below as well. And as always, I'd like to thank you guys for watching my videos. And if you don't mind, click the subscribe button. It's the red one right there up under the video. You can click that and you can follow my content since I will be covering Pokken Tournament pretty much till it releases, when it releases. And I will be able to provide my commentary and reviews on things that I find. Do be sure to like the video as well, because the more likes the video gets, the more people will probably see about it, and maybe the developers of Pokken Tournament will see it as well. But be sure to share the video with your friends, post it on your social media, do all that good stuff. And as always, I would like to thank you guys for watching my videos, and I hope to see you all in the next one.